Good evening and welcome to another race in the SRL Snowman Studios Motorsports Designs Cup Series schedule. We're here tonight at Chicagoland for the Bundren Lawn Care 200. And qualifying is just getting underway. James Thurston, fastest in practice by about 1/1000th of a second. So it is going to be close here at Chicagoland. Multiple different lines you can run here at this track. As we look at James Thurston warming up his tires, I guess spinning it out a little bit to get up to speed. But let's see someone who's actually going up to speed right now. Quincy Strawhacker in the number 23. He's one of the first to start his first lap. Running the high side lap 1, looking to build a good run off of the corner. And here at Chicagoland, you can have multiple different lanes, so dirty air is definitely not going to be much of a factor. You can run the bottom, you can run the top, you can be the middle. I think it's going to be a very interesting race. Strawhacker running a little bit lower on his first lap, coming to his flying lap, lap number 2. Right now, running a little bit below the top lane in 1 and 2. And, oh, he scraped the wall. That's going to invalidate his lap time. Big hit to the inside wall. But let's get back to James Thurston. Riding that high line, he is going to be coming to his flying lap right now. Beginning his flying lap, he really just has to keep it off the wall. Running that middle groove through 1 and 2, but tracking out to get as much of a run down this curved backstretch as possible. Coming into turn 3, he goes all the way to the bottom. It looks like he got really tight on the bottom, and he hits the wall. Oh, that's tough. James Thurston will not set a lap here as he slammed that outside wall. Let's see. Nicholas Martinez Jr. just coming across the line. 29.9. That'll put him in the 5th position. Let's go through other drivers in the field. James Beaumont beginning his first lap in that number 20. He's had a rotten string of bad luck these past couple of races. He needs a turnaround if he wants to help his points hopes. This is his first lap, but that was a good exit out of 1 and 2. Will he try to run all the way up top? Looks like he won't. He'll try to build up a run off the corner. Scrapes the wall a little bit. Slams the brake. So it looks like scraping the wall is an issue for a lot of drivers. Adam Contreras coming out of turn 4 to complete his first lap onto his flying lap. We know he's fast at these 1.5 mile tracks. Let's see if he can put together a lap that can rival our current pole sitter of Barrett Polhemus in the 79, running up high in 1 and 2. Seems to be the fast lane here. Through 3 and 4, a very smooth entry. Just as smooth of an exit. He's going to get a good exit. Let's see where this lap puts him. Ooh, that is 13th on the board for the driver of the 92. Let's see if James Beaumont can set a fast lap without touching the wall. He's gotten up to speed, but it only has 1 lap to set a flyer. Into turn 3. Trying to wrap the bottom as best as possible. Car gets a little tight in 3 and 4. Able to get out of it without touching the wall. Let's see where this puts him. A 29.939 for James Beaumont. Puts him in the 7th position. We've the last car on track right now is the 24 of Andres Varas. Let's see. Oh, I thought he was going to be able to get another lap in on his flying lap, but it looks like he bails out of that one. So qualifying is over, and let's go to your starting lineup real quick. Starting on pole is the number 79 of Barrett Pohemus, and on his outside is the number 77 of Tyler J. Curley. Okay. In third is the number 22 of Chris Downey on the inside of row number 2. On his outside is the number 27 of Joey Beck. Inside of row number 3 is the 60 of Zachary Trevino. On his outside is the number 98 of Sam Brochu. James Beaumont on the inside of row number 4. On his outside, the number 48 of Nicholas Martinez Jr. Inside of row number 5 is 52 of Peyton Howell. And on the outside of row number 5 is the number 33 of Max Ford. Inside of row number 6 is going to be the 72 of Jordan Herring. And on his outside is the number 86 of Michael Korometis. Hope I've said that name correctly. Inside of row 7 is the 25 of Shockey Tarpley. On his outside is the number 92 of Adam Contreras. Inside of row number 8, Quincy Strawhacker in the number 23. And on his outside is the number 46 of Cole Denton. Inside of row number 9, the 55 of Austin Doran and the 47 of Dustin Marr. Last drivers inside the top 20, the 24 of Andres Veras and the number 96 of James Thurston, rounding out your top 20. First driver outside the top 20 was last week's winner of Van Drummond. And on his outside is the number 90 of Malachi Drake. Rounding, almost done with this. Andrew Cootie starts on the inside of row number 12. On his outside is number 65 of Ben T. Pierce. And rounding out the field is Daytona winner, Bladen Edwards in the number 26, starting in last. So 25 cars here today in the virtual Chicagoland Speedway. And it's going to be Barrett Pohemus. But we also have an extra pace lap. So while we are pacing, we will show you a commercial from our sponsor real quick.
Are you looking for something to make you look good out in front of your competitors? Well, look no further than Snowman Studios. SMS specializes in iRacing designs just for you. From NASCAR to IMSA to late models, SMS can make you a personalized paint. Snowman Studios, making you look good out front.
Okay. What a great commercial that was. We are still under pacing, waiting for the pace cars to come off so we can take the field. Green flag racing. Pace car lights are off, so we are going to be going green next time by, unless something happens to prolong this pace lap. It's a good opportunity for drivers to get their tires warmed up here. Coming down this iconic curved backstretch. It's not really a back straight, it's more like a back bend. But when you're going down this stretch of pavement at about 185 miles per hour, it certainly feels very straight. But into turns 3 and 4, pace cars should be pulling into pit lane anytime right now. And it's going to be Barrett Pohemus leading the field to the green flag. Pace car is in. And we are about to go green. Green flag is out here at Chicagoland. Good start for both lines here. Tyler Curley is still to the outside of Barrett Polhemus. Joey Beck giving... Oh, as we have a huge wreck in the back. Goodness gracious. I don't know what happened. I just saw a bunch of cars spinning in the back, as that is a junkyard on lap 1. Hopefully not too much damage, but I have no clue what caused that on lap 1. What we are going to need is a replay for that, so give me 1 second to see what the heck happened here. Okay, so we're currently looking at Zachary Trevino in the 50, and Peyton Howell makes it 4 wide, pushes James Bomar in the 20 up the track a little bit, and no reason to make it 4 wide on lap 1, and Sam Brochu gets stuffed into the wall before he even reaches the backstretch. There's James Bomar sliding in, as it looks like he might have gotten help from maybe Dustin Marr. I couldn't tell if he got hit from the back or whether just cold tires made him spin around. But ostensibly, the track is blocked right now. Bladen Edwards trying to avoid Cole Denton. Car gets really sideways, and looks like Trevino just barely gets by the 26. So, crisis hopefully avoided. But, yeah, Sam Brochu has a meatball flag. So, before he even got to the back stretch, his race is most likely already over. Just an over-aggressive move on lap 1 of 134 here. This is a 200-mile race. Are going to be many more opportunities to make up positions, and just going 4 wide. I know the motto is if gap car, but sometimes you have to let your mind sometimes you have to let your mind think better than your instincts. But very quick caution here at Chicagoland. Hopefully it is not foreboding of the entire race quality, but pace car lights are already off again. So we're going green next time by. So same 2 leaders here, Barrett Polhemus and Tyler J. Curley in the front row. I believe it retains the same second row as well with Chris Downey and Joey Beck. But that's got to be heartbreaking for Sam Brochu, who barely got half a mile in of this track before being stuffed into the wall. And same with Zachary Trevino. But Peyton Howell in the 52 did get an EOL for that, as he was ruled at fault for that. So, we will be going green this time by waiting for the pace car to pull in a pit lane, and hopefully we'll get more than 2 corners worth of green flag racing. Pace car is in, and green flag is out. Not a good start for the outside line. Tyler Curley tried to jump the start, but had to back off, and that stacked up Joey Beck in that 24 car right behind him. It's Andres Veras all the way up top. But Joey Beck goes around, and we have another caution. That was a hard hit for that 27 car of Joey Beck. Also involving Andres Veras. So let's get a replay on that real quick. All I saw was the 24 going, or the 27, I apologize, going around in a frenzy. Currently looking at Joey Beck. Looks like a little bit of netcode between him and Van Drummond in the 2 car just sent him up the track. Nowhere for Andres Veras to go. He was trying to rip that high line and you can't prepare for something like that happening. So very unfortunate for the 24 of Andres Veras. Hopefully he can get that repaired, but Joey Beck did receive a meatball for that. So his race is more than likely over with. Let's take a look at Andres Veras' car right now if we can get a good look. That's a pretty torn up front end, but with enough work it might be able to be serviceable. Don't know how much damage he has in terms of required repairs, but hopefully he can get back out on track pretty soon. But Tyler Curley did lose access to the front row with that last restart, as Chris Downey was able to get around him before the caution came out. So we are 7 laps into this race, and we have had 2 cautions so far. And it reminds me that I forgot to do the weather report, which will be pretty fitting to do under caution. Currently, it is 78 degrees in the air as the sun sets here at Chicagoland Speedway. The winds are blowing eastward at 1 miles per hour, and the forecast is currently partly cloudy. The weather doesn't really matter too much because the sun isn't going to be in the air much longer, as big slide from Chris Downey as he chooses his line. Don't know what happened there, but able to keep it straight. But Tyler Curley chooses the outside line again, so he's going to be leading. He's going to be leading the outside line, and a check on Andres Veras. He's still in pit lane. He's gone 1 lap down, and maybe he was just taking all of his damage, and then hoping for a very quick caution to get the lucky dog. Because soon him and Zachary Trevino. No, I lied. Sorry. I was going to say soon Veras and Trevino will be battling for Lucky Dog, but Trevino is 3 laps back from Andres Veras, so that would be inaccurate. But pace car lights are off. Going green this time by for the second restart in 10 laps here at Chicagoland. Pace car is off, waiting to go green. Green flag is at a good start for both Curley and Polhemus. Not a good start for the 22 of Chris Downey, as Curley blinks out for a little bit. There he goes, as we are going 3 abreast back here. Midway through the field, multiple lines can be run here at Chicagoland. Van Drummond running all the way up top, getting a great run out of the corner, but Barrett Polhemus checks up the outside line heavily as Tyler Curley goes to the lead. So he's going to be leading on the bottom lane, moving up top as we finally get a green flag lap in here. But looks like things are starting to settle down just a little bit. Barrett Polhemus running the 3rd lane, going 3 wide on corner exit. That was close with Bladen Edwards. Bladen Edwards goes around. James Thurston goes around. Cars are everywhere on the track right now. I think that's Shockey Tarpley around as well. Big smash him up in the back of the field, as this has been certainly a race so far. Let's see if we can get a replay on that real quick. And let me edit my settings for just a second. Okay. So we saw what happened to Blaine Edwards, but let's look at what happened to James Thurston. Looks like he's running the bottom, and he's got James Bomar and Nicholas Martinez Jr. And I think James Thurston comes up the track, thinks he's clear of Martinez, and he obviously just isn't clear. Blade and Edwards, yes, I know, also going around right in front of him, and Bomar able to avoid the 26 spinning. And let's just go full speed. Does Thurston avoid the inside wall? Nice save from the 96 to not hit the inside wall right there and not get any damage. But the same can't be said for Blade and Edwards, who I believe took a pretty nasty hit. Yeah, him and Peyton Howell and Dustin Marr, all with heavy amounts of damage. So, a few very competitive cars already out of this race. So, caution number 3. Within 12 laps. Hopefully the field thinning itself out a little bit will eventually lead to cleaner racing, but Andres Veras has made his way back onto the lead lap, and he's pitting for more repairs. So good to see the Lucky Dog working out in his favor, as he is trying to maximize his car's state while the field continuously explodes. So taking advantage of a not ideal situation. But Tyler Curley, I believe these are his first laps led here, and in this race, at least until Barrett Bohemus had his little mishap that forced him back through the field. But he's only back in 5th right now. As you can see, he's the 5th car in line. But pace car lights are off. We're going single file to try and clean up the restarts. Pace car is in. It's going to be Tyler Curry leading a single file line of cars to the green flag. Green flag is out. Looks like a pretty safe restart right now, but Barrett Bohemus to the inside of Quincy Strawhacker for the 4th spot right here. Van Drummond and Nicholas Martinez Jr. right behind him. Van Drummond going to push Bohemus as much as he can. Here comes Adam Contreras to the inside of Martinez. Adam Contreras running all the way on the bottom. Strawhacker going to get a good run out of the corner, but Drummond looks to be very content on trying to push Bohemus. But Strawhacker is doing a very good job keeping pace with that 79 car on the outside. He just tries to drift up, not clear. It's a little bit of side draft from the 23, and now Bohemus is going to get freight trained on that outside line. Van Drummond running all the way up top here, as he's going to get the run off the corner and clear the 23. So Van Drummond, last week's winner, all the way up to 4th already. As Barrett Bohemus struggling on the bottom, he's just losing a ton of spots as he gets passed by Adam Contreras, able to slot in right in front of Nicholas Martinez Jr. And now Martinez Jr. looking to the inside. Pohemus will have to throttle up early to try and stay even with him. A little bit of contact maybe, and Quincy Striker just turns himself across the front end of Aldom Contreras as the caution comes out for Striker. I mean, I'm not even gonna put this on a replay. We all saw what happened. Tried to come down to block the 92 and just came across his nose. Sliding back up on track, brought out the caution. "17 laps out of 134 completed right now. Now 18 laps completed. And hasn't been the cleanest race so far. Field slowing up for the pace car right now, as Tyler Curley might lead more laps under caution the way this is going than he will green flag laps. And let's get an Andres Ferris update. Let's take a look at that 24 car. Still some extensive front end damage, but nothing another pit stop can't fix. He is dedicated to getting all the damage that he can repaired. And that car is looking markedly better than it did at the beginning of the race. As it's not really gonna help him. A little bit of a shunt from Dustin Marr, but it looks like Andres Veras will be able to get that repaired. Took a little bit of time, but sometimes the cars don't ghost properly in pit lane, so you don't really know when they're going to be solid objects and when they're not. There's like a certain set of conditions that I don't remember that makes the cars pass through each other in pit lane, just for lack of drama. But yep, both Dustin Marr and Andres Veras getting repairs done. They can get about a minute done each time they are in pit lane. A 50-second pit stop from the 24. Max Ford getting his damage repaired. He has some front end damage, and he took just over a minute to do his pit stop for repairs. Looks like it's gonna be another single file restart here. And I mean, when it comes to single file restarts, all you really gotta do is just start by the wall, because you can't pass on the inside at all. So hopefully we will get a longer green flag run out, as we haven't even gotten half the race over yet, and we already have 5 cars retired from this event. 19 out of the 24 cars that started this race are still on track. But pace car pulling in. Tyler Curley is going to be leading the field to another single file restart. Good jump from the 77. Jordan Herring looking to the inside of Chris Downing in the 22, but that's going to allow Barrett Pohemus to get the draft to suck up right to the outside of the 72 and get a good run out of the corner. But Herring might be able to clear Pohemus, and he does. Nicholas Martinez Jr. looking to the inside of the 72 for the 3rd spot, Has the inside, gets a little bit loose, but able to clear the 72. Will he be able to clear the 79? Blocks 79, and Bohemus hits the wall a little bit. I don't know if that was dirty air causing that or what, but he definitely hit the wall with some force, as people are electing to choose whatever line is most comfortable to them. But it definitely looks like the high side is the preferred side coming out of the corners, as Martinez is very quickly catching the 22, and it makes you wonder, is something wrong with the 72? Because maybe that right front damage is really slowing him down, because he has dropped like a rock since the restart and has just been moving backwards. But Nicholas Martinez Jr. to the high side to get around Chris Downey. Now Nicholas Martinez Jr. in second place, and now he's going to try to hunt down the 77 of Tyler J. Curley. Jordan Herring continuing to fall backwards as James Bomar gets around. Now Van Drummond trying to work our way around him. 3 wide for a second between Quincy Strawhacker, but Van Drummond goes around across the nose of Jordan Herring. I was looking at my timing screen for a second. I wasn't able to see, but no caution is called for that. I assume because he was off the racing surface. But Van Drummond definitely not going to be happy about that. And if I remember to, we will get a replay on that, because when that happened, I was looking at my timing screen. But Cole Denton mounting a charge on the outside of the 55 of Austin Doran, able to make the move work. Further up the field, Barrett Bohemus is trying to rip the wall as much as he can to get a good run down the front stretch. Maybe to try to have something for that 22 of Chris Downey for the 3rd spot. And Nicholas Martinez Jr. has been very steadily gaining on that 77 car. And here comes Bohemus to the inside of Downey. Downey forced to run higher up. I think Downey is thinking about mostly saving his stuff, as he just lets the 79 past him for the 3rd spot. And Nicholas Martinez Jr. is inching his way closer for the lead here. Check back up on that in a second, as Cole Den and Quincy Strawhacker are going at it for the 9th spot right now. Strawhacker able to hold off a charge from the 46, as Bomar looks to the outside of Adam Contreras coming out of the corner, not able to make anything happen. As we go further up through the field, Bohemus looking to gain some ground on that 48, drives it in real deep. He's going to get really tight behind the 48. Hopefully he doesn't hit the wall. Able to keep the car straight. But this is the battle for 2nd place right now, as Tyler Curley is starting to pull up a gap on the 48. Gap currently is 4/10 between the 77 and 48, between 1st and 2nd. Further back through the field, we have Cole Denton really sideways, able to save the car. Perhaps he had contact with the 23 of Strawhacker, but looks like he did not spin the car around. And for 2nd place, Barrett Bohemus is all over the back end of Nicholas Martinez Jr. Almost got into him on corner exit. Maybe Martinez using up his tires a little too quickly. But the field definitely starting to thin out right now. Bohemus gets such a good drive out of turns 3 and 4. It makes me wonder why he doesn't try to build off of that run and follow Martinez onto the apron, because you're more than allowed to use the apron. Let's go further back through the field. Closest battle right now is between the 55 of Austin Doran and the 23 of Quincy Strawhacker. Pretty static racing right now, just single file throughout the entire field. As we look at Chris Downey, who's just sitting and biding his time in 4th place, waiting for something to happen. But Van Drummond, he needs a caution to come out sometime soon, because he's 7 seconds off of the leaders. And more importantly, not in anyone's draft either, because I mean, he's running about equal times with the leaders, but how much longer will that be able to last? As we go back to said leader, Tyler Curley trying to break the draft on lap 33 down the curved backstretch here at Chicagoland, and Nicholas Martinez Jr. running high, but Barrett Bohemus is running higher in that 79 car. Let's go further back through the field. Adam Contreras looking to find a way around the 20 of James Bomar for 7th spot. And it looks like Bomar just hasn't beat entering the corners, and Contreras is able to pull up down the straights, but not able to make anything work at the moment. As looks like Bomar is pretty content running that bottom line. Further up front, the gap has shrunk considerably between 1st and 2nd. It's now gone down from 4/10 to about 2/10 between Tyler Curley and Nicholas Martinez Jr. It looks like Martinez Jr. and Barrett Bohemus are very comfortable running those respective lines. Bohemus closer to the wall, and Martinez somewhere in the middle. Curley running up top, maybe to try and give them a little bit of dirty air to tighten their cars up and make them fall back a little bit. Seems to have worked a bit, as he's gained about a 10th that lap compared to the 48. But finally, the laps are taken by as Michael Koronitis able to get around the 22 of Chris Downey. So maybe something's up with that 22 car, or maybe he's just super saving, while the 86 has decided it's time to push. And Barrett Bohemus trying to make a move on the 48 of Nicholas Martinez Jr. for 2nd place. Side by side, entering turn 1. Bohemus down low, Martinez up high. Bohemus able to make the slide job work, as he's going to slide up right in front of the 48. But don't expect the 48 to make a move in the next corner. It looks like he's not going to be doing any of that. As Tyler Curley disappears a little bit. Maybe Tyler Curley might be having some internet issues. But nevertheless, he is still our leader here. And Barrett Bohemus is driving the wheels off of that number 79 to catch up to the 77. As he's already pulled about 0.3 of a second to Nicholas Martinez, despite them running roughly the same line. Across the track is a big run for the 79. Curley comes down to block. Bohemus goes side. The crossover. Bohemus to the outside of Curley. Curley tries to squeeze him up high. And now Curley running the bottom, and Bohemus vying for the lead back. It looks like Curley got a little tight on the bottom with a side draft coming to effect down the back stretch. I think Bohemus has too much of a run. Yes, he does, and Bohemus clears himself to the lead of this race on lap number 39 out of 134. Good, clean racing is what we needed here after the first 20 laps of carnage. And now Curley looking to mount a charge on the 79 in turns 1 and 2. Will he be able to pull alongside? Yes, he will. Will he be able to work the side draft to his favor? I think he might have. He's still on the inside, entering turns 3 and 4, able to reel Bohemus back just a little bit to keep him side by side. And he has to do it. He has to do it again, but Bohemus gets a better run out of the corner and will retain the lead from the 77. But this is kind of what Nicholas Martinez and Michael Kormetis want to hear, or not want to hear, want to see. They want to see the cars in the lead battling each other, because that will slow them up and bring them to them, and hopefully burn up their tires a little bit more than they have. But James Thurston already in 5th place, a good recovery drive for him considering the accidents that he got involved in earlier in the race, as he's looking to go to the inside of Michael Korometis in the 86 side-by-side down the backstretch for 4th place. Korometis with a better run down the backstretch, but Thurston dives it in deep, and he might be looking to try to pull a slider on the 86, and it works to perfection. Korometis not able to make a crossover happen just yet, and he will just have to remain in the 5th spot. But Barrett Polhemus starting to pull away from the 77 of Tyler Curley. I mean, these are the only 2 cars in the 30.7 second bracket. If you don't count Van Drummond, who's currently running a 30.6. But he's also in 17th place after getting turned around. So one fortunate caution for that 2 car will get him back into the mix of things. But it has been the Barrett Polhemus and Tyler Curley show right now, as these 2 cars have pulled away. They have about a second on 3rd place James Thurston, as it looks like James Bomar looking to make a move on Michael Korometis in that 86. So maybe Korometis burned up his stuff, and everyone behind him doing a good job at saving. Korometis forced to run higher up, and now he has to worry about Adam Contreras in the 92. But he's going to have the draft from the 20, and Contreras just barely slots in right behind him. Big run down the back for the 86. Might be able to retain this spot if he doesn't get screwed too hard by the side drafting. But I think he had a little bit of a slide out of the corner and had to get out of the gas. So now Adam Contreras is side by side for the 6th spot here. And he's going to be able to clear him as the field goes around Dustin Marr. Whoa! James Bomar probably not too happy about that, as a very slow lap car of Dustin Marr almost wipes him out. No, Dustin Marr was trying to get out of the way, but the goal is to be predictable. So the cars coming up to you will know where you will run. And that is the opposite of being predictable. That could have been a very scary wreck. But now Chris Downey gets around the 86 of Korometis. And it looks like the people who were pushing earlier on in the race, like Martinez, are definitely starting to fall back as Tyler Curley pulls into pit lane from the lead. Maybe he's expecting this to go green and trying an alternate pit strategy. Let's see what the move is from the 77. Looks like he's going to be taking tires under green flag conditions here for the 77. But that cycles James Thurston to the lead, and then we have the leaders going down pit lane. So let me get the pit road board up. So you see Polhemus, Bomar, Curley, and Herring on pit road. So it looks like Curley is finally out of pit road and only lost a lap to that. But he's going to be on much fresher tires now, as people like James Bomar are currently just exiting pit lane. So yes, Bomar exits pit lane, and there's Tyler Curley rocketing around Bomar, and he's going to be able to rocket around Polhemus as well. So a very good strategy call by that 77 crew to get around get around and maybe even break the draft of the 79. But currently your leader is James Thurston, and Nicholas Martinez Jr. is trying everything to hold off the 92 of Adam Contreras. Nobody's on pit road right now, so we can take that graphic off. But Adam Contreras just going to power by the 48 as if he wasn't even there. And Contreras comes down pit lane. So, not Contreras comes down pit lane. Martinez comes down pit lane. I apologize for the misstep. But James Bomar, or not James Bomar, I am messing up names tonight, aren't I? James Thurston looking to lead some laps here in whatever capacity he can. As he currently has about 1 second over Adam Contreras. Chris Downey, Michael Korometis also in pit lane as well. So pit stops are in full effect here. Makes you wonder where Van Drummond's going to cycle out after all of this, considering that he got spun and was about 7 seconds out. So he might be trying to play this to his advantage. But a big gaggle of cars for 5th right now as people try to get past the 23 of Quincy Strawhacker. That is Shockey Tarpley, Malachi Drake, and Jordan Herring. Jordan Herring is 2 laps down right now, trying to get around that 23. And now Shockey Tarpley blocking the 72. Malachi Drake going up top as we see Adam Contreras enter pit lane on the graphic. And Shockey Tarpley looks like he is going to be entering pit lane as well from the 5th position, as Austin Doran goes in as well. Makes you wonder, how long is James Thurston going to stretch this? Because he's been out longer than anyone else. Because the last cars on his tire set was Shockey Tarpley and Austin Doran. Looking further back, as we have a wreck. That is Quincy Strawhacker going around. I was going to Barrett Bohemus to see what the heck happened, and I saw Quincy Strawhacker go around. Let's get a replay on that real quick. Looking at Quincy Strawhacker, he slaps the wall out of turn 4 and does the same thing that he did to Adam Contreras, just chops off his nose and gets sent around. This time he hits the wall with a decent amount of speed, so definitely some damage on that 23 car. But this is definitely not what the cars that pit want to see, as James Thurston stays out. But this is exactly what Van Drummond wants to see, as he is now with the leaders. So 57 out of 134 laps in the books, as a long green flag run that was just about to enter its last stage of green flag pit stops gets interrupted by a caution, as many cars coming down for damage repairs and new sets of tires. So let's see. So many cars also getting the wave around, but it looks like James Thurston is going to come out as the leader. And Malachi Drake, his pit stop strategy pays off as he goes from the latter half of the field up to second place. Van Drummond recovers from his misfortune. And let's see what happened to Van Drummond if we can. Currently looking at Van Drummond, and yeah, it looks like Jordan Herring just came up, and unfortunate for Van Drummond, but luckily it was early on in the race. But I know that he is not too happy about that, but hopefully it's water under the bridge, as he's currently in 3rd place. I had to open up iRacing UI for a second to see what the cause of the extension was. Looks like league owner Alex Schumacher is just giving everyone more time to catch up to the pace car. And something we haven't done in a little bit is an Andres Veras update. Let's see how that 24 car is looking. It's still looking pretty banged up. Last pit stop length was 1 minute and 7 seconds. So still many repairs to be made on that 24 Exalta ride. But he is thugging this race out, and he's trying to salvage whatever he can from an early bout of misfortune. As currently the only car 1 lap down is the 72 of Jordan Herring. So if another caution were to come out, he would be the lucky dog and would get back on the lead lap. But the cars now come across the start-finish line, and James Thurston chooses the high side, as I don't know what's going on with the 60 of Zachary Trevino, as he's currently 7 laps down. Normally lapped cars would have to go to the back, but it seems like that may not be the case. But anyway, you scratch it. There he finally goes. Now he drops to the back. But anyway, you scratch it. James Thurston is going to be leading the field back to the green flag as Andres Veras pulls out of pit lane. This is going to be your top 5: James Thurston, Malachi Drake, Quincy Strawhacker, Van Drummond, and Max Ford. Your current top 5. Malachi Drake hasn't been up front much this season so far. We know he's capable of doing it. Pace car is off, green flag is out, and a good start by James Thurston. A pretty good start for Van Drummond and Malachi Drake, but not on the level that the control car has. Quincy Strawhacker and pretty much a land of his own, as Nicholas Martinez Jr. getting forced all the way up the track. We are 3 wide all the way in the back. Strawhacker blinks out at the worst possible time, but looks like he reappears just in time. 3 wide back here, almost 4 wide, as Max Ford goes to the outside of Chris Downey. Quincy Strawhacker being shuffled back. And looks like things are starting to almost settle down, as Max Ford is able to clear the 23 of Strawhacker. 4 wide once again as Strawhacker continues to fall back. That damage not helping him in the slightest. Austin Dorn and Adam Contreras make a little bit of contact. Contreras able to save it, but we are shuffling like crazy back here. Up front, Van Drummond to the inside as Max Ford goes around in the back. We haven't gotten a caution yet. Side by side for the lead. I saw Max Ford get very sideways, but no caution has come out because of it. Side by side for the lead. Van Drummond makes a slide job work, but crossover coming from the 96 of Thurston. Thurston to the inside. Van Drummond on the outside coming into turn 3. Van Drummond going to try to power it as much as he can on the outside. He's going to have the run. but Thurston able to keep him up the track for a little bit, but Van Drummond eventually clears that number 96 and make your leader number 2 of Van Drummond. Malachi Drake falling into the clutches of Tyler Curley, and James Bomar not able to clear the 20 just yet as Bomar scrapes the wall. Still side by side between the two for the 5th spot. As Malachi Drake running the inside line, gets a little bit tight, doesn't get into him, but gets really close to it. And Bomar did not get a very good exit compared to Malachi Drake. Drake might have the upper hand, but a very solid center corner from that 20 car. Drake pushing up the track, but that draft on the outside is definitely going to help Bomar. And Malachi Drake has to concede the position. Can't fight it too much. As now Chris Downey looks to the inside of Malachi Drake, not able to get anything working on the inside just yet. Further back through the field, Barrett Bohemus is trying to get around Nicholas Martinez Jr., not able to make it happen, as Nicholas Martinez Jr. has some considerable right front damage. Maybe from what happened with Max Ford, because that wasn't there prior to last caution. But further up front, James Bomar has made a move on Tyler Curley, and he's able to slide up right in front of him. Curley almost came across the nose of Malachi Drake, and now Curley's side by side with Bomar for the 3rd spot, the last podium position. As we were just approaching halfway, Curley a little bit of contact with the 20. Hard racing, but didn't put him in the wall or anything. Malachi Drake looking to get to the outside of the 77 as well. Try to take advantage of it. Oh, he gets into him again. Curley all over the side. Malachi Drake thought about taking it to the outside of Bomar, but Bomar is still getting a good run as Tyler Curley gets in the grass a little bit. Caution is out for the halfway. For the halfway points system. So a bunch of the field back up once again. As cars were racing very hard for their halfway points. A feature that current leader Van Drummond is not a huge fan of. He expressed his disapproval of the system after a solid performance at Portland, but he thought that it cost him the win there, and he's probably not too happy that his rather sizable lead got cut down once again. But if it wasn't going to be a halftime caution, it was probably going to be someone spinning anyways. As Tyler Curley and Chris Downey are rubbing fenders for some reason. But James Thurston goes in pit lane. Everyone goes into pit lane. Van Drummond elects to stay out. Interesting call from Van Drummond to stay out and not pit with everyone else. But this gives me a good opportunity to change it to laps to go as Jordan Herring gets the lucky dog, so he will be on the lead lap. We have 18 cars running right now. Last car running is the 60 of Trevino, 7 laps down, but we have 17 cars on the lead lap now that Jordan Herring has made his way back onto the lead lap, and he's going to dive into pit lane. Looks like Adam Contreras up to 4th place, so he was able to jump a couple of spots in pit lane. Your current top 5 as it stands right now is Van Drummond, James Thurston, James Bomar, Adam Contreras, Austin Doran, and outside the top 5, it's Malachi Drake, Michael Korometis, Shockey Tarpley, Max Ford, and Nicholas Martinez Jr. As pace car lights should be off this time by, hopefully. Van Drummond choosing the outside and James Thurston choosing the inside on those fresher tires. About 13 laps separates Van Drummond and James Thurston's sets of tires. So if this goes a long way, there'll definitely be a difference made in tire wear. But if we have a bout of short green flag runs, those are heat cycles built into those tires, and they're about going to be equal strength. So maybe Van Drummond is hoping for, from here on out, just a carnage fest behind him that'll enable him to save fuel and have everyone else put heat cycles on their tires. But he's going to be leading everyone to the green flag after halftime. Pace car lights are off. We're going to be going green flag racing. Pace car pulls into pit lane. Waiting for the control car. Green flag is at a great start from Van Drummond. James Thurston caught sleeping just a little bit as he's going to have Adam Contreras and Michael Corometis to his outside. James Bomar looks to the inside of James Thurston, not able to get there, but definitely scared him up the track a little bit. As the field definitely more composed than it was at the beginning of this race. Adam Contreras looking to the inside of Thurston on the bottom, not able to make anything work, but Corometis is going to get a great run on exit. Max Ford slides a little bit to the apron on the bottom. Looks like nothing crazy just yet, but Van Drummond is pulling away on those fresher tires. Corometis flings it to the middle and is right behind James Thurston. I thought he was gonna tag Thurston for a second, but he's able to keep it off of that 96. Bomar now battling with Contreras. They are 3 wide for about 6th place between Martinez, Tarpley, and Doran. Side by side here for 5th right now, as Bomar is going to have the advantage. He's going to try to slide up right in front of the 92. He makes it work. And now Nicholas Martinez Jr. with a great run off the corner, able to get rid of Austin Doran and Shockey Tarpley. But then he has to check up for the 92 of Contreras, who's probably slid up a little bit more than he wanted him to. But further up through the field at the front, Van Drummond has about a 0.2 of a second gap over James Thurston, and Michael Corometis is hungry for the top spot, as he is all over the back end of Thurston, and Thurston is pretty quickly catching the 2 on corner exit. But right now it is the Van Drummond show, as the field mostly singles itself out. Near the back we have Barrett Bohemus trying to make a move on Malachi Drake for the 11th spot. Makes it work. He's able to slot in front of him. Shockey Tarpley and Austin Doran battling for the 7th spot. Tarpley going to have a good run off the corner, and he's going to be able to hopefully clear the 55. Looks like that's not going to be the case. 55 right on his quarter panel, pulling him back, entering the corner. But then Austin Doran gets really tight up top, has to check up a lot, and now Chris Downey is going to have to pass the 55. So I had a little bit of an internet connection issue. Apologies if the stream died for a second. Don't know what happened right there, but now back on my end, it is perfectly fine. James Thurston still about 0.2 of a second back from Van Drummond, and Michael Corometis looking to make a move on the 96. This is exactly what that 2 car wants to see. He wants to see the cars behind him battling each other and slowing each other up, as Corometis gets really close to the 96's quarter panel, and he has to check up a lot. Now James Bomar looking to make a move on the 86. He's going to dive it into turn 1 on the bottom to try to get some grip down there. Try to take the shortest way around. Not able to get a great exit to pull up alongside that 86 car. But James Thurston is trying his best to suck up to that 2 car, getting good exits off of the corners by riding high and cutting down, using somewhat fresher tires now, as Van Drummond's on 12 lap older tires than the rest of this field, but he's holding his own quite well for being on older tires. But those problems of wear start to show themselves earlier in the run than other cars. As further back through the field, we have Austin Doran all over the back end of Chris Downey, not able to make anything happen, as Van Drummond is doing a masterclass on keeping that 96 behind him. And it looks like the 96 just gets such a great run down the straights, but just can't get anything on that 2 in the corners. Might have something for him here, pulling within a 1/10 of a second, and he's still ripping that high side. And Drummond's going to close it, but Thurston is going to be much faster down the front stretch, and he's within a 1/10. 0.09 seconds separating the 2 and the 96 entering turn 3, and he's going to have an even better run. Thurston looking to the inside of the 2, side by side for the lead with 52 laps to go. Now it's Van Drummond's turn to run the high side and James Thurston's turn to run the bottom. Thurston running the bottom, not able to get the run that Van Drummond is getting. James Bomar in the back, fighting with Michael Korometis for 3rd place. And maybe Thurston might have burnt up his stuff a little bit, how hard he was trying to catch that 2 car. But Korometis with a crossover, exiting turn 4 and coming across the start-finish line. He's going to be on the inside of Bomar, as James Thurston is trying to mount another charge. Bomar finally clear of Korometis. And now Korometis has the 92 to worry about, as the 92 sails in on the bottom. Thurston running all the way near the wall. Scrapes the wall a little bit on corner exit. But he is running about identical times to that 2 car, despite the vast line difference between these 2 drivers. With Adam Contreras, you saw right at the top of the shot, slid up right in front of the 86 of Korometis. But we are looking at the battle for the lead right now, and it looks like Drummond is just able to get such a good entry. But because he's trying to wrap that bottom lane, it doesn't allow him to accelerate and straighten out the wheel as much as running the top does. And Thurston gets right up to his back bumper, and Drummond runs the top, trying to give Thurston a load of dirty air and make him uncomfortable running that line. It's about 2/10 separating the 96 and the 2 car. 48 laps to go here. When is the right time for Thurston to make a move? Because he made a move a couple laps ago, and all it led to was more of the same, him being stuck behind Van Drummond again. Maybe he's trying to force Van Drummond to burn up his tires a little more, and eventually just pass him via the difference in tires. But if another caution comes out, they're both definitely going to pit. Drummond doing a very good job of running that bottom lane. But it's when Thurston gets that run off the top side and compiling the draft to Van Drummond's car. He is just a whole nother breed of fast, as both of these drivers setting about equal times, about a tenth faster than James Bomar and Adam Contreras. This is really showing off just how well all the different lines at Chicagoland work, as you can have equally matched cars run in the middle and run on the top and even run on the bottom if they want to. But Thurston, with a big head of steam down the front stretch, chooses to go to the outside. Drummond can't block in time, and Thurston on the outside. Can Drummond slide up to cut off Thurston? Yes, he can. But now Thurston pushing Drummond down the backstretch. This is slowing them both up, right to play to the advantage of James Bomar, who has caught up a lot in this last lap. And now Bomar is in the draft of James Thurston. So it is now a 3-horse race for the lead right now, as Thurston looking to get around Van Drummond and Bomar looking to get around both of these drivers with 44 laps to go here. Drummond choosing to run up high in turns 3 and 4 to take away Thurston's line. Doing a very good job at defending his position. But Bomar to the inside of the 96, not able to pull alongside him down the backstretch. And this is also allowing Adam Contreras to very slowly get pulled into this. So James Bomar both has to defend against Adam Contreras and try to get around the 96 of James Thurston. Now James Thurston opts to change strategies. He's going to wrap the bottom line as best as he can to try and gain some steam on that 2 car in the center of the corner. And it looks like it didn't really work out, as Van Drummond now opting to just solely run the high line with his more worn tires. And it's interesting that these drivers aren't choosing to run the apron like Van Drummond is. And now Drummond chooses to run the bottom, giving Thurston a lot of dirty air. Thurston gets really tight and comes up the track. Now Bomar to the inside of James Thurston. And Bomar going to have a shot at second place, and Thurston has to let him go. I think Thurston has burnt up his tires a lot more in comparison to Bomar and Contreras. So now it is Bomar's turn to lead the charge against Van Drummond. And he's definitely doing a good job, as he's now within 2/10 of Van Drummond, running that bottom lane. Actually running more like half a lane off the bottom, but my point still stands. He's right on the back bumper of that 2 car, as we have cars pitting right now. Cole Denton and Jordan Herring come down pit lane. .39 laps to go here, and Van Drummond has now pulled out to a 3.5 second gap. Not a good set of corners for Bomar, and that allows Thurston to get right up to his back end. And I can't tell if it's air games or what, but it looks like these drivers are just not able to get around that 2 of Drummond. Bomar and Thurston running higher up to mount a run down the backstretch. And while this is developing, we have Barrett Pohemus and Austin Doran battling it out. I don't know what caused Pohemus to go to the apron for a second, but now Austin Doran looking to make the crossover happen, as further up front Bomar has pulled back within striking distance of Van Drummond. Drummond running the bottom, then cutting back up to the top. Gonna give Bomar a little bit of a tow down the backstretch. Now Bomar looking to run the bottom. If he can slide up right in front of Drummond, that would be huge. Not able to get it done. Almost contact between the 2 and the 20. Coming into turn 1, it is about dead even through the center of the corner, but Bomar still might be able to clear Drummond. He just barely does, but here comes the crossover from Van Drummond. Now Drummond running the bottom, side draft from the 2 car, sucking the 20 back. And the 20 having to fight back on the outside. He's going to get the run down the front stretch. Some great racing for the lead here as Bomar is able to get clear of Van Drummond. I think those tires are finally starting to catch up to that 2 car as now Bomar's stated mission is to pull away from the rest of the field. Drummond falling back 3 wide for second place for a second, as James Thurston is now in second place, and Van Drummond slides all the way back to 4th. Drummond with a huge head of steam pulls the inside of Thurston, and now he retakes the 2nd spot, and now Contreras battling with Thurston for the 3rd spot. This is exactly what Bomar wants to see. He wants to see everyone behind him fighting and slowing each other up, as after he pulled ahead of Van Drummond, he is now 0.6 of a second ahead of second place. But Van Drummond opts to dive into pit lane. Green flag pit stops are underway. You can see Bomar's in as well. So your current leader is the 96 of James Thurston, with Adam Contreras in second place, staying out to stretch the field just a little bit. Current people on pit road: Bomar, Drummond, Curley, Max Ford, and Zachary Trevino. But here comes Adam Contreras in the pit lane. So Contreras is now making his stop, and Thurston once again stretching it out. Maybe he's hoping for another lucky caution to come out like he got last time. But Adam Contreras gets a black flag, I think, for unsafe pit entry. So unless a caution comes out, his race is in the gutter, as Tyler Curley hasn't really recovered all too well, as he's currently back in the 14th position. But James Thurston, 1.3 seconds up on second place, Nicholas Martinez Jr., and right behind him is the 86 of Michael Korometis. And we can turn off the pit road graphic. When will James Thurston come into pit? That is the question, because it has to happen sometime. But they are still running very fast laps, as Van Drummond running about a second faster than the leaders. If I was James Thurston, I wouldn't be banking on a caution to come out. I would pit as soon as I saw Van Drummond come into pit lane to minimize time lost. Because, losing about a second per lap between the two, when James Thurston comes into pit, he might be a couple seconds behind Van Drummond if we don't get a caution to break this up. For 4th place right now, it's a battle between the 86 and the 22, Michael Korometis and Chris Downey, as James Thurston finally dives into pit lane. So now the lead gets handed over to Nicholas Martinez Jr. He lets James Bomar by, as Bomar is on much fresher tires. So Bomar unlapping himself. But how is this strategy going to affect Thurston, as a 10.7 second stop as this is Bomar coming around. He is going to pass Thurston, and Drummond is a couple seconds behind James Bomar. And for the lead right now, it is a battle between Michael Korometis and Chris Downey. We have 7 cars staying out right now. With Korometis, Downey, Malachi Drake, Quincy Strawhacker, Nicholas Martinez Jr., Shockey Tarpley, and Austin Doran on very old tires. And James Bomar is starting to slice his way through the field. But for the lead, it is a dogfight between the 86 and the 22. Both these drivers on very worn tires. As Downey looking to make a move on the 86 on the bottom. Almost contact between the two. Side drafting each other. And Chris Downey leads that lap. Steals it from Korometis as Malachi Drake is waiting in the wings for something to go awry. But at some point, these drivers have to pit because Van Drummond and James Thurston is currently running about 1.3 seconds faster a lap. As you can just see the grip difference between the 96, 86, and 22. With those fresh tires, Thurston looking to unlap himself. But currently the driver in the best situation, barring any mishaps, is the 20 of Bomar. As Downey is starting to pull away from the 86 of Korometis. Downey letting Thurston have the inside line. I don't think that an ultra fuel saving strategy is viable. I mean, there's just too many laps. As Quincy Strawhacker just pulling out of pit lane right now. He's going to drop back outside of the top 10. And currently it is Chris Downey leading the way with 23 laps to go. This is what SRL is about. Green flag runs with fuel strategy. Can Chris Downey make it all the way? Maybe they're praying for a caution to come out as these drivers on new tires navigate drivers on older tires so they can have the advantage. But that's Van Drummond pulling up to the back end of Michael Korometis. Chris Downey and Korometis have a mammoth job in front of him. Here comes Downey into pit lane. A little bit of a wiggle. He gets in safely. Hopefully he didn't speed. Same with Korometis. Malachi Drake in there as well. So that is going to hand the lead over to James Bomar with 22 laps to go. Downey and Korometis currently in pit lane right now, but they need to take tires and they need to refuel the car. That's definitely going to get Bomar around them. And yes, Bomar passing Malachi Drake, Chris Downey, and Michael Korometis to take the lead. And he has a very healthy lead over James Thurston right now. The field very spread out. Nicholas Martinez Jr. is still within the top 5, trying to reel in the 55 of Austin Doran. Your top 3 at the moment is James Bomar in the lead. This is the season turnaround that he needed. And then James Thurston in second and Van Drummond in third. Barrett Bohemus back in 10th, battling with Shockey Tarpley for that 9th spot. Currently the closest battle on the track right now with 20 laps to go. But it definitely looks like Bohemus' car is not handling right. He has some front end damage. As, yeah, that car is definitely getting gapped by Shockey Tarpley. So going further back, the actual closest battle between non-damaged cars is Austin Doran and Nicholas Martinez Jr. about 0.5 of a second separating these two drivers. And James Thurston and Van Drummond are begging for a caution right now to come out, because if this goes green, and barring any issues that Bomar might have had on pit lane, he's got it pretty much in the bag. I mean, 3.4 seconds. Even if James Thurston runs a tenth faster, that's still requiring 30 laps, and there are only 17 laps to go to catch him. So Thurston's either going to need a big mistake from Bomar or a caution to come out somewhere along the way, as Michael Korometis is carving his way through the field. Tyler Curley looking to get back to the back end of Chris Downey, but both Downey and Malachi Drake are on much fresher tires. Austin Doran has gotten to the back end of Van Drummond for third place. Doran to the bottom of Drummond. And it's side by side with him down the backstretch. Maybe some side draft will help him. And this is for the third spot. So Austin Doran able to get by on the center of the corner. And he's going to keep Drummond up the track, side drafting, keeping him side by side into turn one. This is what Martinez wants to see. He wants these two drivers to wear each other's tires out. And Doran not clear of Drummond just yet. Drummond just able to hold on to his quarter panel on corner exit. Doran doing everything he can on the bottom. Finally gasses it up a bunch. Slides up in front of Drummond. Will Drummond try the crossover? Drummond actually gets into the wall a little bit. But a good move by Austin Doran to get around that 2 car. Let's see how long he can hold it, as he's definitely going to have to look after his tires after driving so hard to get around that 2 car. This makes me wonder. It just makes me wonder if Drummond has an assault plan for the next 10 laps, as Michael Korometis gets around Tyler Curley for 9th place. Further up the field, Van Drummond is falling further and further back. My only assumption is that maybe he didn't get enough fuel in the car and he's having to save a lot, because Van Drummond's only on 6 lap older tires than Martinez and Austin Doran. It's not like it should be that big of a difference. But surely enough, Martinez is starting to close the distance on Drummond within 0.2 of a second, with 12 laps to go. This is the closest battle on track right now, as Drummond looks like he's just getting really tight. So maybe there is a big difference in tires, as Drummond and Martinez get really close. Martinez looking to the inside of Drummond for that 4th spot. Side by side, is Martinez going to try to side draft the 2? It's like a little bit of it is in play on corner entry, and Martinez is able to just slide right on by, right in front of Drummond. He's going to block Drummond to the grass for that 4th spot, cutting off any opportunity of passing. Further in the back, Quincy Strawhacker getting around Barrett Polhemus for, this is 11th right now. Both these cars damaged from various incidents. And Polhemus is holding his ground despite his front end being a little bit bent in. He's on a little bit older tires than Strawhacker. but he's doing a good job maintaining that outside line and building runs. Looking at Chuck Utarpi, the last car inside the top 10, in 10th place right now. But 9 laps to go here, and James Thurston is 3 seconds back from James Bomar. Makes you wonder what the winning difference was, assuming we don't have another caution, what the difference was to win the battle off of pit road, because James Bomar had a 9.8 second stop and James Thurston had a 10.7 second stop. So we will certainly have to ask him what his strategy was for victory, assuming he's able to seal the deal. But Chris Downey now hunting down Malachi Drake in that number 90. Both of them pitted at the same time, and Malachi Drake came out in front of Chris Downey. Laps starting to wind down. Time is running out for James Thurston to catch up to James Bomar, and he just might be content with a second place finish. James Bomar, though, needed this. He's had a pretty rotten streak of luck the past couple of races, and he's definitely going to need this for a good points day. Big high five from the flag man. 5 laps to go here for the number 20 of James Bomar. Last lap was a 30.953 for Bomar, a 30.987 for Thurston. So Bomar still pulling away from Thurston ever so slightly, keeping him within the 3 second bracket. Let's go on board with this 20 car on the roll bar camera. See just how close he gets to the wall on corner exit. And run all the way to the bottom, to that bottom seam. Smooth throttle back up, and Bomar is just doing a great job keeping this together. I know that he is just praying to not have a caution come out at the worst possible time. But currently we have a battle for 5th spot. Van Drummond and Malachi Drake battling for the 5th spot as Drake gets around Drummond. Now Downey goes to the inside of Malachi Drake for this 5th spot. Drummond backs out of it. So now it's going to be Malachi Drake up top and Chris Downey on the bottom, side by side for 5th place. Both these drivers are very capable of close racing. 2 laps to go here for James Bomar as we have a very intense battle brewing for the last spot of the top 5. Oh, almost a quarter panel touch from that 22 into the 90. That's going to be all the side draft he needs to lever his way to the front. But white flag is in the air for the number 20 of James Bomar. He's had terrible luck all season, involved in accidents, bad finishes, and he's been very vocal about it in the SRL community. But finally, everything comes together this night. He doesn't have a caution come out. He gets a great pit stop, and James Bomar is going to win here at Chicagoland in a great last run with those green flags. Congratulatory drive-by from James Thurston. And while drivers are starting to pull into pit lane, we can pull up your unofficial results. Lots of victory rubs for James Bomar. James Bomar wins in that number 20, followed by James Thurston in the 96, 2.5 seconds behind. In third is the 55 of Austin Dorn. Great run from that driver. In fourth is Nicholas Martinez Jr. And the last driver inside the top 5 is the 22 of Chris Downey. Malachi Drake, a strong 6th place finish. Van Drummond led a bunch of laps but comes home to a 7th place result. Michael Korometis in 8th in that number 86. Shockey Tarpley in 9th. And Tyler J. Curley went from the front to just inside the top 10, finishing in 10th. First driver outside the top 10 is the 79, our pole sitter of Barrett Pohemus in 11th, then followed by Quincy Strawhacker in the 23. Then Max Ford, the last car on the lead lap. First car 1 lap down to the 92 of Adam Contreras. He got a pit road violation and went a lap down, serving the penalty. In 15th, Andres Veras, perseverance at its finest. He gets in an early accident, doesn't give up, and finishes with a top 15 finish, 2 laps down. Cole Denton in 3rd place, the last driver running, and then from 17th on back is DNFs. So your DNFs are Zachary Trevino, Jordan Herring, Dustin Marr, Ben T. Pierce, Bladen Edwards, Peyton Howell, Joey Beck, Sam Brochu, and Andrew Cootie. So now that is out of the way, we can go to standby for just 1 second while I get interviews set up. Okay, so now that the race is over, we can start with our interviews, starting with race winner
really dumb.
James Bomar and the number 20. You got a copy?
I do.
I know I kind of dragged you in while you were speaking to your buddies, but what a win it was. You won that battle off of pit road and you just pulled away. What was the difference on pit road between you and James Thurston? Because you guys you guys were really close together when you came into pit lane. I know Thurston stayed out a while. Was it that did you make up a bunch of time for the time that James Thurston stayed out?
Yes, I want to say I made up I just made up that much time and didn't lose. I want to say I took care of my tires enough to overcome the fact that he pitted like 10 laps later than I did. It also doesn't help that I took 2 tires. That helped me a lot. It freed my car up a little bit.
So, what was your plan going into this race? Because we know that we've known that prior to this race, you've had a pretty bad string of bad luck and not optimal finishes. So, what was your plan going in for this race? Was this like a race to win, or was it just more of a survival race for you?
Well, honestly, I thought every race is a race to win for me, honestly. But honestly, you say I've had a bad string. I honestly haven't done too bad this season. I think my worst race will obviously be in Vegas and missing Fontana, but other than that, I've finished top 10 every race. At least I think it's been messy the way I finished top 10, but I at least got there at the end of it.
Yeah, I was just more referring because I remember the Vegas race, and then you miss in Fontana, of course, as more of just bad luck and circumstances not adding up, especially when you have people like Sean Rowe just tacking on top fives. But he missed this race, so how does this win affect your confidence for the rest of the season? Because this is a big step in the right direction if you wanna contend for the championship.
Honestly, it doesn't change anything. I know I feel like I'm one of the fastest guys here. This just I feel like furthers my point that I'm going to be a contender. I was last season. Later last season, I was a contender, and getting a win this early, it's going to prove my point.
Well said. Well, before we let you go and celebrate your victory, do you have any people or sponsors you want to thank before we let you go?
Shout out PBR, shout out ECE, shout out Chris Downey, and shout out Austin for being good friends of mine. Shout out Contreras for also being a good friend of mine, making this paint scheme that I was in. Shout out Burnt Rubber Racing.
Well, that's the number 20 of James Bomar coming off of a very solid race win here at Chicagoland. We will see you at the next race.
Yes, sir.
Okay, with that out of the way, we can go to second place, James Thurston. Let me pull him into the booth real quick. It's the number 96 of James Thurston coming home in second place. Do you have a copy?
Yes, sir.
So we saw you stay out a lot longer than James Bomar. What was your strategy for the for staying out a lot longer? Because I would have thought that at least I'm not as experienced as you are, but I would have thought that I would have pit as soon as Van Drummond or James Bomar pit, try to minimize the time loss with the new tires.
My thought process there was just to run longer to get fresher tires on that run to the finish, because normally that works here, but I guess with this tire model, it's really weird. And it worked a little bit. We caught up like a second or two, and then I just stopped gaining. But it's also weird because I took 2 tires thinking that they'd take 4, and I would just kind of jump them and maybe get some better rotation. And it worked for the ones that took 4, but for some reason, it seemed like taking 2 was so much faster that you literally couldn't win the race without taking 2. And Bomar just took them a little bit earlier than I did, and I guess after this tire heats up, it's more dependent on heat than wear. So, I mean, even those tires were much worse than mine. I couldn't do anything. Just kind of a new thing with this tire. It's not really meant for this track either. The car hasn't been optimized for this track. It's still running the wrong downforce package. They set the car up horrible. This league and setups, I tell you what, they don't know what the hell they're doing if they don't have a good baseline. Because I think this is the same league that ran Watkins Glen setup at Mid Ohio. It just doesn't translate. It doesn't take a genius to realize it doesn't translate, and they still do these stupid things every single race. And yeah, we also had that little halfway yellow there. That just derailed my race entirely because I had used the setup early in the race from all the cautions, spun like 2 times, so I had to use the set because the tires were all torn up, and I was only on 2 tires there, 2 tire sets left there, and I'm not going to pit at that caution taking the caution before, and it just ruined the whole race. I mean, it was going to be a one-stopper for everybody. We'd all have to make it equal halfway through that run and race it out, and it just ruins it. I think it's fine to get the points halfway through, but we don't need cautions. I don't know. It's I know I'm talking a lot. Just yeah.
Perfectly fine to speak your mind. That's what these interview booths are for. What do you think could have gone differently to have you in victory lane instead of James Bomar?
I really don't know. I'll probably just pit before them, but it's a new tire model. I'm still learning it. With the old tire model, that would not have won him the race. That's just the way it goes when you're learning new stuff like this. And honestly, if it's another track, I don't know if he wins the race. I think that this track specifically is just so weird with this car that unless you have experience recently with it, you're just not going to be prepared for a race like this. And I just wasn't, because obviously Chicagoland with the Next Gen is not a combo that's very commonly run, especially right after this update. Like I haven't done a race here in a while, but got second. I guess it's good to be mad about a second, but I'm more mad about everything else than the finishing position.
Well, now that you said your piece, before we let you go and celebrate a second place finish, do you have any people or sponsors you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, thanks to Brian Murphy, Murphy Esports, Cardano, Drip Drops, Power Smash, Infinity Speed Motorsports, IORA, REP IORA. I'm so sad about that league. I really love that league, and it's gone now, and I wish we could bring it back. Maybe we will bring it back eventually. But yep, just thanks for broadcasting, and hopefully we get rid of these stupid yellows.
Well, that's the number 96 of James Thurston coming home in second place. We will see you next week.
Thank you.
Okay, and for the last person getting interviewed, it is the number 55 of Austin Doran coming home in third place. Do you have a copy?
I do. Yes, sir.
Pretty surprising run for you, Mr. Doran. You were running in the back of about the top 10 for most of the race. Where did the speed come from to end up in the interview booth?
Yeah, I don't know either. That was pretty surprising myself. I ended up taking 2 tires there on that last stop, and with the way my car was driving, which wasn't great, I didn't think it would make that big of a difference, but I was battling really hard with I think it was like Shockey and Barrett and everyone there before the green flag stopped. So my car was tight as everything. So me and my buddy Bomar won the race. We were talking about it, and he decided to take 2 and told me to take 2 as well. So I took his word because he was running pretty good all race. But yeah, it was great. Once I took 2 tires, the car felt a lot more free. Obviously, I had a lot more clean air, but it was driving pretty good there at the end. I was able to hold off Martinez as well. So yeah, it was a great day.
So what was your plan for this race? Was it more of a just try to see how the car reacts? 'Cause I know this car recently just got updated. I know we had a race at Twin Ring Motegi, but that's not entirely representative of how these cars drive at a big 1.5 mile track. So what was your plan? Was it just try to figure out the car as the race went on?
Yeah, I think I ran Charlotte with this new setup too. So it's definitely a big learning curve for me. It definitely impacts your tire wear a lot more. So me myself, I was trying to improve on just conserving my stuff, not trying to overdrive it in and off the corners. It's a lot easier to get tight nowadays behind a car, especially with this new update. So a lot of it was just conserving my stuff, which I ended up doing pretty well.
I'd say you did do a pretty good job of conserving your stuff. Well, before we let you go and celebrate your third place finish here, do you have any people or sponsors you want to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out my team, EC Racing, James Bomar, obviously with the win, little affiliate there. NASCAR Hotspot for coming on board, got a new look this week, nice looking flame design. Frontline Insurance, Winn-Dixie, K1 Race Gear, LM Photo, and SD Graphics for their support.
Well, you heard it from the driver, the 55 himself. That's Austin Doran coming home a very strong third place finish. Will we see you next week?
I will not be there for the All-Star race, no, but the week after, yes.
All right, well, we'll see you the week after next at, I believe it's at Charlotte. So I will see you then, Mr. Doran.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you, Garrett.
Okay, so now that is over with, I can change the camera to the scenic camera. And then get this thing off your screen. So that concludes tonight's event. The Bundren Lawn Care 200 here at Chicagoland Speedway for the SRL Snowman Studios Motorsports Designs Cup Series. I'm your host, Garrett Hess. I apologize if my voice has been a little bit scratchy. I think I'm battling a cold, but I hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Big thank you to SK Graphics and Andrew Schulte for their help with the ticker and any technical issues with it. If you want good tickers, go to SK Graphics. They're the best in the business, really. Great group of guys. But with that being said, have a great night, everybody. And